the latest news on your $2,000 fourth stimulus check update and recurring stimulus check update. According to one of President Biden's advisors, plans for the $3.5 trillion stimulus package are still full steam ahead. Now, this is despite what Senator Joe Manchin's warning was recently. Senate Republicans are hoping that the spending traps that they've laid out will derail or at least significantly affect President Biden's $3.5 trillion stimulus bill. Republicans versus Democrats again. Dr. Fauci is also saying that the Pfizer boost shot will likely be approved by September 20th. Also, the Moderna shot will also likely follow closely. We'll discuss all of these and more in today's video, so definitely stick around until the end. But first, I want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys, and for those who are brand new to the channel, we cover all things personal finance, investing, cryptocurrencies, stock market updates, and of course, stimulus package updates. So if you haven't already, join the family, hit that subscribe button, and tap the notification bell. That way you're notified as soon as I release new videos and updates. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So here's your daily update on the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill, aka the stimulus bill. Now, according to one of President Biden's advisors, plans on the $3.5 trillion stimulus package are still full steam ahead, despite what Senator Joe Manchin's warning was recently. Now, this is in response to Joe Manchin's warning to the Democrats to hit pause on the bill, citing numerous reasons. But let's look into what President Biden's advisor said here. It says here that White House senior advisor Cedric Richmond said on Sunday that President Biden's administration will push ahead with its pursuit of a proposed $3.5 trillion spending package, despite recent hesitations voiced by a key moderate Democrat in the Senate. And I quote, "Senator Manchin is a valued partner. We're going to continue to work with him." This is what Richmond said during an appearance on ABC's This Week when asked about a warning from Senator Joe Manchin that he would not support the package. And I quote, "But we're also going to continue to push our agenda. And a part of this is just the sausage making process at the end. It just happens. And this is happening in public view, according to Richmond. But it's not abnormal to see this happen in the legislative process. And we're still full steam ahead on trying to get our legislation passed." Sausage making process, right? That's a random weird thought. But anyway, this basically pertains to the tedious and sometimes ugly process of crafting legislation. Stuff like what Joe Manchin did happens regularly, and as what Cedric Richmond said, it's not abnormal. This is really just part of the process. But now the great news here is that they're actually still full steam ahead. And this stimulus bill, this $3.5 trillion stimulus package, is monumental and transformative. And I believe President Biden and the Democrats will probably be able to push through this no matter what. President Biden has always put himself out there to be like the man for the people kind of person, which kind of shows in the plans that he wants to implement for the stimulus bill. Now, some of the items that they could include in this bill are, the following: Medicare expansion, free community college, more Social Security benefits, extension of the child tax credits, housing credit improvement, student loan debt forgiveness, and so much more. And of course, there could always be the monthly stimulus checks and possibly a fourth stimulus check included in there as well. Honestly, I'm really hoping for that the most. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys are hoping for that too, aren't you? Every single day, it seems like, we get these updates, and sometimes things don't look so good about the prospects, but then other times it does look pretty optimistic that, things are actually going to come through. I just hope at the end of the day that we actually get the assistance that we need. But with them saying that the plans are still full steam ahead, that we can kind of hold on to something here. So I'm just going to stay optimistic. I hope you guys stay optimistic with me. And remember, nothing is finalized yet until they actually go and sign the bill into law. So things can always be put on the table and negotiated. Heck, things could even be taken off the table and other things added in to make space for it. Everything's up for negotiation. Now, will the progressives who have been calling for monthly recurring stimulus check payments and a fourth stimulus check actually step up and push this into the included stimulus bill? Now, if you're waiting for the right moment, then now is the time, in my opinion. But we'll just have to wait and see. But what are you guys thinking about this? Can the Democrats like Bernie Sanders actually be able to pull this off? Let's continue. Now, while speaking at an event last week, Manchin said Democrats should hit the pause on the package, pointing to concerns about what he called runaway inflation. Now, if the country is facing what we're facing now, I would ask my colleagues and all of the Senate to hit the pause button on the $3.5 trillion. Let's sit back, let's see what happens. We have so much on our plate. We really have an awful lot. I think that would be the prudent, wise thing to do. Now, this is coming from Senator Joe Manchin. So one of Senator Joe Manchin's concerns here is the rising inflation that our country is facing right now. I'm pretty sure you guys are actually concerned about this too, because you're seeing the rising prices of just about everything from food to gas, rent prices, housing prices. Just look at the housing market, for example. Even the stock market's been impacted. So those of you who have been trying to buy stocks, you're finding stock prices are much higher now than they once were. But all of this is being impacted thanks to inflation, which is exactly what Senator Joe Manchin is very concerned about. So it's legit, there's a legit concern there. However, what he's asking for is really out of line with what President Biden and the Democrats want. He knows this, and he even said that he expected members of his party would go nuts right now in response to his comments. And go nuts is exactly what they did. Now here are some tweets from his fellow Democrats. Pause on finally delivering childcare, paid leave, education, healthcare, affordable housing, climate action, and dental, vision, and hearing to millions of families across America? Absolutely not, according to Representative Pramila Jayapal, leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. She tweeted shortly after reports of Senator Joe Manchin's comments emerged on Thursday afternoon. Instead of writing articles, why not look into the faces of my residents who have had their basements flooded with sewage multiple times and their power out for days, Senator Manchin? We deserve better. This came from Representative Rashida Tlaib from her Twitter. Now, we can get general reactions from what other Democrats thought of Senator Joe Manchin's warning to hit the pause button from these two tweets. The stimulus bill is necessary to improve numerous sectors of the country and be able to transform the lives of millions of individuals. That being said, Pramila Jayapal is spot on with her tweet. So what we can get from here is that even amongst the Democrats, there is still opposition. It's not only the Republicans that are against the major goal of the Democrats, but also some of the Democrats within their own caucus. Now, will this make the passage of the stimulus bill in Congress more difficult? Let's have a look here. Richmond, a former House member and a top aide to President Biden on legislative affairs on Sunday, dismissed the notion that it has become more difficult for President Biden to get his agenda passed through Congress with majority support. Says here, and I quote, "I think what really will happen is people will start to realize what we need and the challenges that we're facing. We have to really take an assessment of what the American people are dealing with right now. They're dealing with in the Delta variant. They're dealing with Hurricane Ida. They're dealing with a number of things." Just according to Richmond. The key question here really is this: can the American people realize what we need? Now, with the calamities and that we're facing right now, it is obvious that the people need help. We need change, and that's exactly what Democrats are trying to bring with the stimulus package. Now, will the people in Congress realize that the stimulus checks are necessary? I mean, all I can say is, let's hope that they will before it's too late. Now, let's watch this video to get more insight on this one.
The destruction really does highlight the need to counter the consequences of climate change, and they are countered with the infrastructure projects and the bipartisan bill passed by the Senate, the broader proposals of the Democrats' $3.5 trillion bill. But this week, Senator Joe Manchin argued to put a hold on the Democrats' bill, and it can't pass without his support. Doesn't that put both proposals at risk?
We're going to keep working on both proposals. If, people have said from the beginning that both proposals were dead on arrival. People said that they would meet challenges. Well, that's what we do as an administration. We meet challenges, we keep working, we keep our head down until we get things done. And we saw that with the American Rescue Plan, and we're going to keep doing that with the infrastructure bill. But people should see now more than ever how important it is to have resiliency and to shore up our electrical grid and invest in our infrastructure. And then on the reconciliation bill, the Build Back Better bill, it's important to address climate change. These once-in-a-century storms are starting to come almost every other year. They're bigger, they're stronger, they wreak more havoc. If you look at New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, people should see what the climate change is doing, and we're going to address that in our legislation. And the president created this legislation over a year ago. So he was ahead of this, and now we just need Congress to come along with us so that we can protect the American people and then invest in them.
But you read Senator Manchin's op-ed. He said he's not for it. He says $3.5 trillion is too much. He's not going to vote for it. It can't pass without him.
Look, Senator Manchin is a valued partner. We're going to continue to work with him, but we're also going to continue to push our agenda. And part of this, George, is just the sausage-making process, and it just happens. And this is happening in public view, but it's not abnormal for this to happen in the legislative process, and we're still full steam ahead on trying to get our legislation passed.
Now, what do you guys think about that? I mean, it is reassuring that the plans are still pushing through, but it's hard not to worry about the chance of the bill failing. Now, if it fails, we might not get to see the fourth stimulus check in the end, so we definitely do not want this bill to fail. But the question is, will they be able to get the people what they need? I'd love to hear from you guys. Hit me up in the comments. Up next, Senate Republicans are hoping that the spending traps that they laid will derail or significantly affect President Biden's $3.5 trillion stimulus bill. Now, it looks like the Republicans are still ongoing against the Democrats' plans of using any kind of method that they can to get their hands on. But let's look into this here. Republicans, including Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, believe that by passing a roughly $1 trillion bipartisan bill throughout the Senate, they've made it harder for Democrats to rally behind the larger stimulus package without at least making changes that lower the overall price tag. And they are publicly rooting for and raising pressure on moderates in both chambers who have signaled unease about the size of the Democratic-only stimulus package. So, for some Republicans, passing the bipartisan bill is part of their long-term plans to derail President Biden's agenda. It's funny how passing a bill could actually be a strategy to prevent future bills from passing. Very interesting. But I can see why. There have been some Democrats voicing out their disapproval of the price tag and the package of the deal. A notable group was the 9 moderates in the House that insisted on passing the bipartisan bill first before working on the stimulus bill. Now, this was met with disapproval and quick attempts of negotiation by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Now, eventually they reached a compromise on the deal. However, along the way, they made sure that their stand was known and understood. This will make future negotiations and discussions for this bill much more difficult, which is exactly what the Republicans want. So it's no surprise that they're rooting for the moderates. But let's continue. I'm praying for Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, the 2 Democratic senators that seem to have some resistance to this all. I pray for their good health and their wise judgment every night. I recommend you do the same. This is what Mitch McConnell said during a stop in Kentucky. Now, this is quite a blatant show of support from Mitch McConnell. Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are 2 senators who have publicly expressed their disapproval of the $3.5 trillion price tag of the stimulus bill, which is very likely why Mitch McConnell is singling them out specifically here. Republicans are hoping that their united opposition puts pressure on Democratic divisions, a strategy that is similar to the one Senate Democrats used during the Trump era as they tried to keep the public spotlight on moderate GOP senators in the fight over repealing Obamacare. There's a huge fight going on in Congress over this. It's all going to unfold here in the next few weeks, and I and my colleagues are going to do everything we can do to stop it, according to Mitch McConnell. This is what he told KET, which is a Kentucky TV station. Now, this just shows us that opposition to bills spearheaded by the majority, even the Republicans or the Democrats, will always come up. It really is a cycle, really. But now it's the Republicans' turn, and they're making their stance on this issue loud and clear. A lot will indeed go down in the next few weeks, and we will see a Democratic victory or a Republican victory. Senator Mitch McConnell, being the leader of the Republicans, is still very eager to stop this bill. However, he probably forgot to think that by letting this bipartisan bill pass, they're actually giving the Democrats more chances to win. In reality, this could really go either way. No side really has a clear advantage here, and that's what makes this a little bit unpredictable. We'll just have to wait and see. But what are you guys thinking about this one? Will the Republicans successfully derail President Biden and the Democrats' agenda? The chances are definitely not zero, so I actually expect something positive to happen. Drop me a comment down below. So anyway, guys, that's all for the news on your 4th stimulus check update. Recurring stimulus check update. President Biden's advisors saying that plans for the $3.5 trillion stimulus package are still unchanging. Senate Republicans attempting to derail President Biden's agenda would likely be available by September 20th. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hope you guys appreciated it all. If you haven't already, join the family, hit the subscribe button, and tap that notification bell. That way you're notified as soon as I release new videos and updates. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care and be safe. On the next one. Take care and be safe.